I know that's kind of controversial to what a lot of people think. They want to desensitize the horse to the point where it's totally dull. But we're going to ask all the horses we train, they're going to go to show. They're going to show working cow horse. They're going to show ranch riding. They're going to be a using horse, show horse of some type. And we need the horse with us. We need a little more energy. We want the horse to not spook and get stupid, but we also need the horse's mind. We don't want to dull that mind down so much to the point that we don't have a mind to work with. This horse that Robert is on is Miss Betty. You saw us do the first ride on her live roughly a week ago, and now we're getting more saddle time on her, working on her steering. The reins are still attached to the halter. They're not attached to the bit. Even though you see her gaping her mouth open, we're not pulling on the bit, we're pulling on the halter, and we're not going to swap the reins over to the bit until she quits that gaping. And basically that gaping has nothing to do with the bit. What that gaping is telling us is that is resistance to steering. So that tells us we need to work more on her steering. You see we've got a little bit forward. The forward isn't as fluid as it needs to be. We need to work on that. She's a little bit reactive to our legs, so that needs to get better. She's not doing anything drastically bad. We just need to keep getting more miles on her, work on some fluidity in her walk, work on her steering. We did find that she came in with some ticks in both ears. So if you watch the first video of when I bridled her for the first time, she gave me some trouble getting the bridle on. So we've been medicating her ears. We got the ticks out. We're still putting medicine on them, and the bridling is getting better, but it still isn't as good as it needs to be, and it doesn't hurt anymore because there's no ticks. But we have to bridle her enough for her to realize that her ears don't hurt anymore. So we're spending a good bit of time working on that, rubbing her ears, letting her figure out it don't hurt, and walking and steering. This is going to be a pretty nice horse, but we got to get some of the reactivity to our legs out of her. And she doesn't, when we bump on her, she don't jump. You'll probably see at some point. She don't buck or anything like that, but she'll just kind of hop, pull her butt up underneath a little bit, just scoot a little bit. Nothing real bad, but it's got to go away. Got to get her a little bit broker. It's really what it comes down to. Broke her to our legs, broke her to the reins, broke her to steering. There's that jump right there I was talking to you about. So Robert went to change directions and steer. Now he's going to kind of bump on her with his legs a little bit. That needs to go away. And then he'll bump a little bit, let her know that that jump's not acceptable, and then we'll go back to riding again. It's just repetition. It's not a matter of fussing at her hard. If you fuss at her too hard, then she's going to just keep getting more scared. So we got to get used to that right there. She's got her mouth open, just kind of resistant to steering. See how Robert's trying to steer away from the wall. And you can see there the rein is attached to the halter. It's not even attached to the bit. He's working on using legs to push her body over to steer her shoulders, to inside leg to push the shoulders out, outside leg to push the shoulders in. So as she learns a use for those legs, then she's going to be less worried about them. And there, just ask her to go forward. right there when she jumps, and we push her forward and bump with the legs. What we don't want to do is she can't get a reward from the jump. I see a lot of people when the horse does that, they stop, pet the horse and say it's okay, and take a minute for them to kind of get some composure and recompose themselves, take a breath and start over. But what happens in the process is the horse gets to stop, and the horse gets a reward after the jump. So think about what's going on there. If a horse gets to stop, how do we reward a horse? We let it stop. And if a horse gets the reward of stopping after it jumps, while you recompose yourself, gather yourself up, then your horse is getting the reward for the jump. And I see this happen a lot, and it gets worse and worse and until the horse is just jumping at everything, and then they say the horse is spooky. Well, in that situation, the horse really isn't spooky. The horse has just learned that if it jumps, then it gets the reward, it gets to stop. So that's why when Miss Betty jumps, we're not going to let her stop. We're going to ask her to move her feet. We're going to bump on her and ask her to move, and whatever we ask her to do, it's going to be a little harder than what we were doing before. Right here, all we want to do is walk and steer. Really all we want to accomplish here. And if she jumps, we'll go into trotting some circles. We'll make it a little bit harder, and then we'll go back to walking and steering. Get her to relax and understand that we're not going to accept that jump. It's about time to ride her out in the back pasture. I don't think we've done that yet, but it's that time, and she'll learn a lot from that. I think we're roughly 5 rides into it. This is roughly her 5th ride, and we got her out of her stall, put her in the cross tie, saddled her up, and let her out here and got on. No lunging, no anything. And we want to develop that so that her mind is right with us to the beginning, that we don't want to have to work her down to get her mind in the place where she goes to work. So at this point, she's ready for a ride out of the arena, challenge her mind a little bit, and that will help her kind of accept some bumping. It'll help her to accept the leadership that we're going to give her when we go out. And she'll be a little bit less reacting on her own and a little bit more asking the rider, what do you want me to do? And she's at that stage. That's probably what the next ride on her is going to be. So this is a look at Miss Betty at about 5 rides, about her 5th ride. And until next time, thank you for watching. Kind of my mission for my training program is to try to make every horse as good as they can be. I've trained world champion horses, and it's fun. It's nice to be at that level. But there's a lot of horses that get bypassed and skipped over and never attain their potential because they're just not at that level. So you see me riding Mustangs and Arabians and quarter horses and paints and walking horses and all different kinds of breeds and types and levels of ability, and I want to try to get every horse that's sent to me to be the best they can be. Some horses will end up better than others. That's part of it. What I have learned in training those higher level horses, that's the training program that I put together for the rest of these horses. If you want to talk to me about sending a horse to me for training, whatever breed it is, send me a message and we'll talk about it.